Alright, welcome back. We're doing right into Game of the Horizon.
The part that most people like watching.
Yeah.
What's
we're going to
coming up,
suggest,
dude?
as you know, this is the playlist for the Great War podcast. Or as you not know, we do a podcast. And we broke it up into different little parts, so you can share each of the little parts.
Yep.
And this is a segment that we're going to do where we recommend things based on like our topic of the month.
Yes.
Topic this month is the Great War. That's World War One. This was the war to end all wars. We'll get into that later when we start really talking about alternate history.
Yes.
So, the three that I selected this month, I put up into the article, are
Cool.
yet again based on that whole scale of strategy and all the rest of this. We're doing Verdun since it's coming out.
Tannenberg.
Tannenberg has just came out.
Verdun has been out for a little while now.
Yeah, and we talked about it quite a bit, and you do
Yes.
a lot on it. The point I'm trying to come up is it's a great strategic shooter.
Yes.
Like we talked about last month, so we don't need to get into that again. We're really just talking about
Tannenberg, just call it the Eastern Front.
right. First person. Then you get up to one that I'm definitely going to have to share with you far more than you have to share with me.
Oh, that's good.
Called Iron Harvest. It's a new one. It's in production. Probably won't come out until 2019 maybe. But its board game is out right now and available for sale.
Right, we talked about that earlier.
Oh, did we? I don't know.
I don't know. I think you did.
It's out. It's cool. It's got a sort of almost post-World War I feel.
Oh no, the interwar period.
Yeah, but it's not interwar by any stretch of the imagination.
Good.
It is quite alternative in terms of its history, though. So you might, be a little too snobbish about what's going
I'm
on.
only slightly
But the
snobbish.
art and style and the design is really on point and makes it an exceptional game.
I might be able to know.
And then we're going to definitely go for the grand strategy of Hearts of Iron.
Oh, yeah. For those of you who are going, Hearts of Iron, what the hell do you mean? That's World War II. There was a mod. It's been out for a little while now. It's called The Great War. I have a series where I'm uniting the Benelux in it. It's quite hilarious.
Yeah, and most likely we'll run play a series, or hopefully do a game night even.
That'd be
where
awesome.
we do a lot of people doing a lot of sort of things.
Oh, yeah. Dumb shit in World War I. Let's go.
Maybe the lower ranked players playing against the great powers, some of the higher ranked players trying to play in sort of the more difficult places to unite and become anything.
Yeah, just or German.
Or sticks, John and somebody really evil in one in the Netherlands and one in Belgium, and just watch them
do something dumb. We don't know what's up.
in the real conflict zones, is what I'm trying to suggest. So, why is World War I so popular right now?
World War I is popular at the moment among games because I would say between Verdun and Battlefield 1 coming out, people began to go, oh, that exists.
No. Yeah. But these things are coming out because predominantly we've seen almost every version of a World War II shooter
known to mankind.
So there's been quite a bit of depletion.
Yeah.
One version was the shooters suddenly went, okay, we'll do futuristic stuff,
which is kind of meh after
Yeah.
the third one.
And then suddenly Battlefield 1 went back.
Yep.
There was another shooter
After
called
Verdun,
was already doing stuff and had a huge market there
Yep.
for a tiny indie game.
A minuscule indie game. It's doing great.
But equally on top of this, Hoi has been adding. I mean, it's probably
It's probably
the best. The biggest selling Paradox game.
It's one of them. It's
Okay.
either that or EU4 or maybe CK2, but only because CK2's been out longer.
Okay.
Between those are the big three, and then everything else is just Paradox has more stuff.
But for the most part, the reason why we talk about World War I in our modern times as Americans,
Yes.
is because we need to contextualize our world.
Yes. Because for America, it was barely a war.
Right. However, for European conflict, it was
Massive.
massively significant. We're not going to go into the significance yet. We'll save that for our next segment.
I got you.
It's coming up, people. Where we actually get into the real history, so for those who aren't savvy,
World War
I, you might get you a little up to date for 100 years ago. Which is the other reason it's quite significant.
Yeah.
Is
we're coming up to 100 years in the end. We're now at 100 years since America entered.
Right.
And a couple
about
months.
a couple,
Month.
weeks in exchange. Yeah.
Pieces. Depends when this comes out.
All right. So fundamentally, all these games are going to show you a few things.
Yeah.
Or do you want to break down to what each of these games really entails?
Let's just go why we're lumping these together.
Okay.
First.
Well, first up, what deviates these games from your standard sort of strategy games in each of these genres, that being first-person shooters, RTS, real-time strategy, and a grand strategy, is unlike anything that sort of happened before it.
Yeah.
You're now talking about huge death tolls, huge casualties, and
you notice your casualties.
And it really has a deep impact on those in power and what's going on.
Lose too many men in Hearts of Iron, and you know what I'm talking about.
So, definitely unlike, World War II is quite comparable, but definitely not exactly like World War I. You also have this high strategy innovation. So it's not just...
In World War II, there was a bit of people messing around with tactics. In World War I, they marched in with some people still thinking barely different than Napoleon.
Right.
And other people thinking a couple steps behind Rommel. Including Rommel.
No, Rommel.
Including
So there's tactically quite a bit of difference. But also technologically, there was this
massive
huge
difference.
Level of innovation where we're suddenly going from things at the end of Franco-Prussian, where we're talking about just train-based logistics,
Train-based logistics, 5-shot
telegram, and that kind of stuff. To
some really good artillery.
Are we up to radio yet, or
we get to early radio towards the end of the war.
Okay.
But it's nothing like the radio you would understand as true radio communication. It's more of, I now can send a telegram without a wire.
Yeah, which is huge
Massive
for this particular conflict.
Yeah. Because wires through
equally, artillery is going through.
Artillery goes through massive changes throughout the entire
ability to educate people to even shoot that artillery and do all the actual mathematics of
trying to figure out
target.
how to hit a target.
Yeah, and the planning that goes with that, and then on top of we got huge improvements with our medical science. There's huge improvements in...
Suddenly planes become a thing.
Planes and tanks. And
not to say they weren't existent before the war, but saying that they started to matter.
Chemical weapons.
Yes.
Modern chemical weapons. Yeah. This is really the first modern conflict.
Truly modern conflict.
Yeah, for a grand world size conflict, yeah.
Not strange, it kind of has that in there.
Yeah. And it was quite significant.
Yes.
Which is what all these had in common.
Yeah.
So let's focus on Verdun.
Yeah. Tannenberg. It's Tannenberg.
You want to focus on Tannenberg? So a lot of people got into Verdun a couple years ago when it came out.
Yeah.
You got popular YouTubers coming through, and they're like, okay, I normally do a lot of shooters. I'm quite
Under
good at
the
this.
Great, they fucking die.
And then they just immediately show up and they get hammered into the dirt.
Mutilated.
Fun.
It was hilarious to watch.
Because it was a game where it was very much focused on the strategy, which means there's a lot of camping, a lot of sniping, and a lot of sneaking around in order to get your objectives done.
Very, very quiet about killing people.
Right. And running at one machine gunner pointing at a trench facing outwards.
Just doesn't
You
work.
have to sort of change what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that machine gunner is just going to sit there, and that is the point of that guy. So
until eventually,
no one is going to sort of have the usual multiplayer complaints that you had in other games.
Oh man, I've still seen those complaints in a couple.
Yes.
You then just go, it's World War I, dude.
Right. You're supposed to change what you're doing.
Yeah.
Which means, this is where hand grenade comes into development, and flamethrowers and all kinds of different things.
Not to say that hand grenades started then. Hand grenades have been around for forever and a half. What really happened is hand grenades started to be widely used. It used to be that just, a couple of guys had the grenadiers.
Very sorry.
Then it became, holy shit, everybody needs one. Then it became, wait, now we need a dude with like 30 of these.
Yes.
Maybe 40.
Equally, this is when automatic weapons
become
we went from single shot to semi to automatic.
To truly
and then
automatic.
how you use them in companies. And that's very much how all those companies sort of break down in game. And you have to think through all the different strategies. All right, what's the new Tannenberg?
What's new in Tannenberg? Basically, as opposed to Verdun, which is the Western Front, it's the Eastern Front. What's really new in it is the fact that we now get to go deal with Germans facing off against Russians.
Well, and the Austrians.
The Austrians.
I mean, the main conflict should be the Austrians facing the
Russians. But it's the Battle of Tannenberg, which is a German battle against the Russians.
Is it just the Battle of Tannenberg?
At the moment, I don't quite know. I think they have a couple of maps up. I haven't looked into it all that much because I haven't started my series in it yet. But we'll look into it.
The other side of this is we are sort of pre-recording to then have this release after it comes out.
Yeah.
So most likely, part 1 of your Tannenberg series will be a part of this playlist.
Yep.
Right after the Games on the Horizon.
Yep.
But the rest of the parts won't be.
Yes.
So you can choose to sort of go out from there.
What I know about Tannenberg is you see a lot of very different maps. In Verdun, there's only really one, or maybe a couple maps where you've got this greenery and you're not blowing out hellhole.
But there are a lot of the traditional.
There's a lot of the good old traditional. You're in a mud pit.
and
the Artois is green, but the idea is a lot more of these big maps. The maps got a little bit bigger. There's a lot of openness in them. There's a lot of wilderness in them. So trees and things.
Shooting down range is going to be.
Shooting down range is now going to matter, which means I'm probably going to suck.
Hey, this is going to be good.
Fuck, this is the game he wanted.
So I originally got this game because the two of us quite like bolt action shooters. So even
he quite likes bolt action shooters. I quite like shooting bolt action shooters.
So this is like within a World War II shooter. I like the very early parts of World War II where you just had one and it was these duels, and that's pretty much all you used to be able to do in shooters.
Yeah. Whereas I'm of the opinion of I can't.
And then suddenly, like I found this one, and then boom, that's how we got into it.
And then eventually, I
having something with some range, I definitely want to go into this. This might even be a 2-person thing. Who knows? We might even. You think we do this for some game nights material, or we were just a Verdun?
We'll look into it.
We'll look into it.
I think it will definitely be Twitch streamed at some point.
Definitely will have to be checked out.
Yep.
You go ahead to Strategic Agreements or the calendar, and those things will be noted.
Check
probably about a week in advance.
Yeah.
And
week
then
to a week and a half.
They'll hit the social networks and then get out. All right.
Yep.
You want me to talk about Iron Harvest now?
Yeah, talk about Iron Harvest now. Because this is news to me too.
So, first up, this is a game that started by Stonemaker Games on Kickstarter as its sort of concept.
Oh, those are the guys with Scythe?
Yes, this actually was Scythe.
Oh, this was Scythe?
This is based on Scythe.
Oh, cool.
Sort of at the same time that we were making Combate Area, they had a couple others. They have about 8 sort of games. Very much. I mean, we don't emulate entirely what they do, but the concept of doing a blog and having talk and very much having this balance between.
It means you're a new school publisher.
Business, like a business consulting and sort of
whatever it is that I do.
This sort of this. What would you call this? The 20 teens like rebirth of board gaming.
It's that weird sort of younger audience. So these days, board game companies aren't like, we are a board game company. We will only sell you our game. Here's everything about our game. Now they want to go talk about the other people's games. Now they want to go compare themselves. Now they want to go talk to you and do a contest.
Anyways, they do very
different market.
Yeah, they do very well what they're doing. They found a particular artist who had a wonderful style. First up, Polish. I'm probably going to slaughter the pronunciation.
This will be funny.
Jakub Rulski.
Sure, that's Polish.
I don't think we'll be able to put up his art in this particular segment.
For various reasons.
But we'll definitely have the links down below to show you what this is all about, along with all the rest of the links, because people should definitely check this out. And as always, we'll probably have I don't know if it's selling on Amazon, but if they are, there might be an Amazon affiliate link to go check out Scythe, because it is actually published now, available for sale, $80. It is a logistical level game, and this is about this whole world they've created. Is about what happens in the 1920s of a World War I-esque world or post-World War I-esque world, where instead of the war sort of ending in the way it did, a constant conflict has occurred between fundamentally 3 parties. And I know whatever you may say about this, but let me finish each of them. of course, it's going to be about the Polish Republic, or the Polania Republic, the Saxony Empire, which is whatever's happening in Germany at the time, and the Rushevets, who are fundamentally these Russian Soviets.
I'm sorry, Saxony invaded Germany?
I don't know enough about
Okay.
the stories of each.
That's weird.
They each have like these heroic characters. They each have. Oh yeah, this is about not just tanks, but mechs, as in like I don't know, not just Japanese anime, but like mechs that definitely fit. They walk. They have huge guns.
Explosions.
etc. There might be all kinds of flying ships and other things too.
Now
This is really heavy. That borderline between steampunk and diesel punk,
It's probably diesel punk.
and then it fits into this Slavic traditional art style as well.
That could be pretty funny.
So it looks fantastic. It's got a very modern publishing. There's a lot of YouTube about how these guys have a presence and what they're designing. That's very much Scythe.
That's cool.
They have presence. They got their stuff. That's all together. Now there's a couple people who are trying to design something that's digital. They themselves are putting together something called Iron Harvest, but they also have licensed out a couple other people who do Scythe emulators. So Scythe is very much a logistical level game. Yeah. Iron Harvest is very much going to be a RTS.
Oh boy.
So that means units moving around like AI, back and forth.
The difference between that.
Oh, this is going to make the whole podcast very confusing.
Yeah.
This is actually a lot like Accent Allies, the computer game.
Which is not XSL's board game. Very different.
I don't know how much alike it is going to be. They're in very early production. You can, through their Facebook, you can see it as it comes together. Amazing concept art from Yaku, but also from all the developers as they go through unit by unit. And for this whole, ultimate 20s sort of world.
The 20s.
Eastern European 20s.
They're not quite rolling.
No. They're walking. It looks to be a fascinating game. It's going to take a couple of years to come out. They think they're going to be able to do this on Steam, PC, PS4, and Xbox.
So everywhere.
I don't know why they're going to bother with PS4 and Xbox One.
Because people play it on PS4.
Yeah,
and
I know.
We don't know.
It's just the control mechanics that they're going to have to go through.
Very, very limiting.
As opposed to mouse and keyboards.
Well, you can do whatever you want.
But this is definitely going to be a game you definitely want to play on the TV and see big. Because it's going to be beautiful. I've shown you the art, so I know you already.
I've seen the art. It was
definitely check out the art below. Leading us with Hearts of Iron. Do you have anything else to say other than check out your series?
Hearts of Iron World War I mod. First up, it's not been out all that long. People think this has been out for forever and a half. It's been out for maybe 6-7 months.
Oh.
So there's a reason why some things haven't been really fixed yet. There's a reason why.
Okay, so it's still, that one is
out.
in development.
It's in development. The dude who's working on it has been busily trying to revamp and refix it for a while.
Okay.
It's not like Millennium Dawn, which has been out for forever. So Millennium Dawn
is the future after War II sort of.
Is like it's year 2000 in like 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. Very different. They've had time to really sit down and build out, and a very large team to build out the mod. This dude's got a couple of guys, fistful.
And this is a mod, so this is a free edition Steel Paradox game.
Yep. That you don't have to pay for, even if Paradox releases a DLC for World War I. They promise.
That hopefully involves the guys who've been making this mod for a while.
That's usually how Paradox will make some of these DLCs.
Just making a comment.
Anyway,
you highly recommend it.
I highly recommend it. It's very fun. What I would say is, if you've sat in Hawaii and ever said, "Man, I'm sick and tired of World War II right now,"
yeah,
this is the one to go find.
Alright, and this mod allows you to do World War I, build up a completely different world, and then sort of take it into
World War II.
Okay.
Yeah. So the other one that I would recommend would be Kaiserreich, which is very different because it actually is fighting the Second World War after German victory in the First World War. I'll mention it a little bit later in the alternate history piece.
Okay.
But it's not World War One. That's what a lot of people don't really understand. Because they go, Kaiserreich, this has to be World War One.
Yeah,
It's
but
not.
it's,
Sorry,
it's
guys.
about the Kaiser continuing.
Yeah.
Cool. That's definitely an end for our
Yep.
Game on the Horizon. Again, these games are all about the Great
Mhm.
War. That Great War is all about the fact that suddenly the war had to confront what modern warfare would become.
Really is.
And that's not just, so these are huge casualties, not to the point of, like, say, nuclear weapons, but
Really close.
like chemical warfare and all sorts of other
Verdun is still the
nasty stuff.
costliest battle.
Equally, this, and we'll get to this in the history section sort of next. This is where, modern technology, gave us the capability to save lives and gave us the capability to take lives.
Destroy.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you all for watching.
Hopefully, you can continue with our playlist and
Keep going.
get to the history and all history too.
Yes. See you all later.